Everybody's in order. Okay, let's just start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for coming. Nobody brought leftovers for me, so I go without this Thanksgiving. That's okay.
Roll call, Whitmire,
Here.
Supervisor,
Here.
Treasurer,
Here.
Clerk here.
Okay.
I move we approve the agenda with one addition. The addition would be we accept the resignation of Rick Klein. I don't think we've done that yet.
Special
meeting.
Did we?
No.
I don't believe we've done that, but after conversing with MTA, it's unnecessary. But, okay, we can do that.
Okay.
Do that prior to, well, we do it number one.
Okay.
They got the email.
Yeah, I know that it's effective when it's, I talked to MTA about that too. They said it's effective when it's turned in. Well, when they say it's gonna be, if he resigned effective Christmas, then it wouldn't be effective until Christmas. But he had resigned effective immediately, so.
I got the same answers.
Yep.
Okay. So, approval of the, oh,
There's been a motion and a second.
I didn't hear the second.
I second
I'm
it.
sorry. All right, motion and a second to approve the agenda with the addition of accepting Rick Klein's resignation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. So new business. Number one, accepting Rick Klein's resignation. Anybody want to make a motion?
You just did.
Okay.
A second.
Okay, motion and support to accept Rick Klein's resignation. What date was that?
Jeez, I don't know.
All right, well, it was effective immediately.
Yeah, it was
Turned it in.
effective immediately. That's what he said.
The day he handed it to you was on a Thursday.
I don't know, I wrote the date on the bottom of the letter.
Yeah, so did I, but I don't remember.
It was on a Thursday, guys.
I have to look at his letter and get the correct date.
Okay, well, when he turned it into the office, which was time-stamped.
Where's the calendar?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's, I stamped, or wrote on it, yeah.
On the date he submitted it.
Date and time.
So put on there on the date he submitted it. Please.
What date did you put on there?
I did not, I just put in the motion on the date that he submitted his resignation.
We'll have to look for sure, because when he handed it to me, I wrote the date and time on the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Okay, any discussion?
I have just a quick comment. I understand that resignation was for personal reasons, and the board was giving him the opportunity to perhaps change his mind on that. So we did not move forward or mention that at the previous meeting for those reasons. Sometimes when personal things occur like that, the board's policy is to use a little
But you
discretion
already had the
on
answer.
that.
Stop by and saw him.
Any more discussion? And I agree with you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion passed. Okay, interview of trustee applicants. There's no motion to be had here, but we do not have a system developed, so does the board want to discuss a little bit of how you want to move forward on this interview?
I got whoever's gonna be interviewed first to chair. So that's my contribution.
Okay. I've been through many interviews, and usually it's a one-on-one. That way, somebody can't piggyback off of, or somebody can't steal, or it's uncomfortable when somebody repeats the same thing that somebody else said.
Well, I think that's a good idea, that one of the applicants wait in the other room.
On the room.
And then the second person, it won't make any difference if the first one heard him or not.
That's what they do.
Correct. I just think it would be uncomfortable to try to say the same things over and yeah. That's just my opinion. I guess we could ask the applicants. And how many do we have?
Two.
Two. Okay.
And Vanessa said she wanted to go shopping.
Oh, I still have to finish my work shift too. So.
Oh, okay.
Did you want to go first?
Either or.
Is it flip of a coin? Are you in a hurry?
Not in a hurry.
I'm still in the
Well, if that's the way the board wants to go,
Should he step outside then?
that's what we would ask,
Yeah.
if that's the way you
I
want to do it.
agree with that.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
No problem.
There's Vanessa's chair that I got.
Okay, I guess that's your chair, Vanessa. Grab a softie.
Aw, thank you.
Welcome.
Do you have an opening statement at all?
No,
Okay.
just ready for you guys to ask me questions.
Bruno does that.
I don't do that.
You're the chairman.
I don't do that. I'm seeing a set of written questions. I heard that everybody was going to get an opportunity, anybody that was interested or put an application was going to get a list of these questions. Did you get a list of these questions?
Good.
Okay. Well then, I don't have to ask them. I think if there's 5 questions on here, would you mind if somebody went outside of these questions?
Do whatever you feel you need to.
Okay. Because I have one that I would just prefer, whichever one you guys, I'll go last, and whichever one you guys
No,
don't
no, no.
pick, that
No,
one
no.
just doesn't get
The
it.
chairman asks the questions. Right, Mary?
That's how I've never been in an interview like this. so
I've been in a public interview, and it's usually those that are head in the department, each one of them have their own set of questions that they'll ask, and then they get together and confer. But
Okay.
Just
Well, I'll
let you know my
start,
experience.
since nobody else wants to. Let me skip around. Explain each of the following. The supervisor's job duties? Because somebody on this board doesn't even.
you're right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Your duties is to see how the township runs and to oversee the school board, well, not to oversee the school board. Basically just to see how the township is run. You're the big man on campus.
Okay. The clerk's job duties.
Record minutes, pay the bills, take care of all the minute meetings. Has custody of the township records. Has a lot of jobs.
Okay. Thanks. There's no eye contact because I'm writing, sorry. Treasurer's job duties.
Collect all the bills, make sure the monies go in their right account, and make sure that they're dispersed how you guys vote.
Okay, how about trustee's job duties, since that's the most
Make sure you guys are all doing what you're supposed to. Make sure you know the hiring and firing process.
Does someone else want to read a question? I don't want to hog them all.
I'll read one.
You can hug them all, right? Read
Thank
your
you,
question
Joe.
anyway,
You're
no,
welcome.
nobody else knows what your question is.
Vanessa, what's your vision for Atlanta and Briley Township?
I am a huge Hallmark Christmas movie fanatic, and that gives me my vision. That is, I see the younger generation trying to step up and make this place better, make it strive, make it a home.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else want to tackle
If
one?
someone was more qualified than you, would you agree that they would deserve that position?
No.
Why?
Because if this was an election, they would be voted in by the people, to represent the people. Qualified is experience. And to have the experience, you have to do the duty.
You want to take the last one?
I don't even know what the last one is, it's yours.
Okay, then I get this. Okay, skip one, doesn't matter. Now you might have touched some of this, but you can repeat it if you want. I just wrote this down today, so nobody's got this question. Knowing that there's 11 months remaining in the trustee's term that you're applying for, and with that in mind, what do you see as the most important attribute this board should look at in its selection of a trustee for the position?
Somebody who has their heart in for the people, the interest of the people, and who's gonna stand up for the people and be the voice of the people.
That was my question.
I have no more.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Vanessa.
Thank you. What does
You want me to get the other candidate?
No, because I gotta go use the restroom anyway, so.
We're ready for you. So this is a recess one. It's potty. Here, we got a chair for you.
Is it wired? You guys remember the movie Meet the Parents?
Yes.
Where you wired up Ben Stiller? Yeah, it's a lie detector.
You work for the FBI or something?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
CIA or.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. That was very entertaining. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think we all have in-laws like that, so.
Yes.
That was tiny. As you can see, I still got my pajamas on.
I'd take a workout shirt. I'd wear that for a workout shirt.
I promised them I'd wear it, so I get their stuff on since everything's going on YouTube. Welcome, Marc. I submitted a letter of interest.
I'm sorry, what's his name?
Marc Edwards.
Thank you. I've never really met him.
It's Marc with a C.
With a C?
Yeah.
Ah. I know that Mark.
also came with a letter of support. That was pretty impressive. I guess I should,
He's on the commission, isn't he?
you want to read it? No, we didn't read the other one, but I appreciate all the effort and energy and Jim out there just thinks very highly. Okay, the way we did this is, we did a round robin except for Ed. He let me ask 2 questions. I started out. So I'll start off in the same order if I can. Notes. There. All right. Can you explain each of the following? The supervisor's job duties.
Well, one, it depends if it's a general township or a charter township. I was a trustee in Oakland Township for 22 years. We were a charter township. In that township, we had a township manager who handled day-to-day administrations. In general townships, the supervisor does a lot of the administrative work as well as represents the board. So it's a bit different. They have to be more hands-on. And the rules for general townships and charter townships are different. Generally, if you have less than, I think the number is 8,000 people, there's more flexibility in terms of how many job responsibilities you can have. Whereas in a larger township, you couldn't have somebody that's on the township board and also serve working for the township. In this township, you can. So. Yeah, and the supervisor is 1 vote on the board, no other power than that. So I've seen cases where the supervisor thinks that they're in charge, and I've heard Bruno say he's not. So that's a good thing.
Thank you. The clerk's job duties.
Clerk is responsible for the elections, which is really important, has to be done correctly. A lot of responsibilities. Primarily, that's the job would be the elections, overseeing the most important aspect of the job, overseeing the elections.
Treasurer.
Treasurer is very important too because they collect the taxes, and it's important that it be done correctly. And having been up here for 18 years. I've never failed to get a tax bill, so you're doing your job. So.
Trustees' job duties.
Trustee is 1 of 7 members. Trustee should not only be present at the meetings, but do a lot of, and this is true of all trustees, this is my experience, a lot of the work is done before the meeting. So if there's a site plan review, you should go out, check the site. If there's an applicant and the applicant wants to meet ahead of time, a trustee can do that. A planning commissioner cannot. A trustee is an elected position. A planning commissioner is appointed. Planning commissioner should never talk about planning commission items outside the meeting, and that was reinforced at a recent MTA meeting I just attended in Frankenmuth last week. So it was a good refresher.
Anyone else? Mary Jo?
What's your vision for Atlanta and Briley Township, Mark?
A couple things. One, I think we need to see what we can do in terms of us businesses downtown. Anything we can do to support businesses. And I attended with Bruno for the Planning Commission, meeting with Michigan Development Authority. I'm not sure what the acronym is for that, Bruno. But what?
It was out in
MCOG, yeah. And part of that is that the township be involved in the process, and they pointed out that Hillman is really doing a good job, and they're getting grants. But, you know, part of it is you have to show commitment to learning and to working with MCOG to get these grants. As I said too, is business and government are a lot different. I've run a business for 15 years. I've seen people come in, we have a president who thinks that they're the same, and they're not. Business is for profit, government is for the people. We're not here to make money, so. One of the other things I'd like to see, and I'm representative of this, I've been up here 18 years. I became a resident and full-time person up here in 2015. Part of why that was possible is because of technology. More and more people, 3.6% of the population is now working remotely. I'm a financial advisor, I'm a fiduciary. I'm allowed to work up to 5 days out of the office, and I work up here. 2 days I have to be down in Grand Blanc, and that's just the rules of a financial advisor. But what I'd like to see is for us to encourage that. Get people to come up here to work. They typically are well-educated. They have a lot of income. I think it would change the dynamics of the township. It'd give us a more diverse citizenry and population up there. And you know, even if that was a matter of coming up a couple days and they did become a resident, I think that's still positive for the community because they're shopping here. Two visions.
Great.
You just answered the one.
You know, I want to keep it fair, so I'm going same order.
What boards have you served on in
I'll
July?
keep the same question.
Same
I
question.
can't,
Oh,
because I asked if someone was more qualified than
Well. So,
but you can ask that.
you. You can ask that?
Yeah.
Okay. If someone was more qualified than you, would you agree that they deserve the position?
Absolutely. The one thing I can say is, having been a trustee for 22 years and on the planning commission, the first year I was scared to death. Because there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn about the law. There's so much to learn about the process. There's a big learning curve to be a trustee or to be on the planning commission. So I think anybody that applies for it should have some background or volunteer and understand how government works. Because like I said, government's a lot different than business. And some people don't think so.
You almost killed my question, but I took the following one and I wrote this one up, but you can answer it in your own words. Knowing that there's 11 months remaining in the trustee's term that you're applying for, with that in mind, what do you see as the most important attribute this board should look for in its selection of the trustee?
Team player, somebody that listens, somebody that's willing to accept other points of view and not be narrow-minded. Do the work. I watched a couple of the meetings recently, and this is constructive criticism. Is more homework needs to be done before the meetings. You know, you shouldn't come in and just throw out questions ad hoc. You know,
Like today?
Well, this is structure, but, and you shouldn't add things to the agenda. I watched the special meeting, and again, this is what I'm used to. Special meeting typically is rare, it's special, right? Generally, what I'm used to is 1 or 2 agenda items. 7 or 8, that's not a special meeting, that's a regular meeting. So I would just encourage you, if you have a special meeting, I mean, do so, but make sure, you know, you meet that, otherwise you could be advised, or you could be accused of violating the Open Meetings Act if you do that too much. And again, a lot of this is you need to know about the law, and Ed, I know you're a lawyer, is that correct?
Was.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, and municipal law is different than criminal law, than, you know, realty law. You want to be very careful when you make decisions that you don't get sued. Oakland Township got a new board in after I left, and they ended up turning down a senior development, which we had approved, and it ended up costing the township $17 million. And I was a key witness in that trial. It was a federal trial because they broke federal law. So, don't do that.
Appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
That was quick, huh? I covered a lot of bases tonight. It was good questions. You put these questions together, I think you did a good job. And thank you to both applicants. Now, I guess I'd like to ask how the board wants to make a recommendation or how it wants to proceed from here. Because there was no structured process to this, so I'm just asking what the board's pleasure is from here. Do you want a little bit of time to review everything?
Yes, I would like a little time.
Okay.
Could we take a brief recess and then, is the board's decision, can we go into private session? No, okay, all right, yes, I would definitely like a little bit of time to review it.
Okay. Well, let's take 10 minutes.
Okay,
Is that enough?
yeah, that would be just fine, thank you.
We'll recess for 10 minutes.
Mark, may I ask you some questions since we're in recess?
Sure.
Couple. What motivated you to apply for the trustee position?
The supervisor asked if I would be interested.
Okay, but what's your personal motivation?
I think, based on my knowledge, I can help. I see a lot of things. I have a vision that may be different than the traditional vision. I see people being able to work up here and take advantage of why we all love it up here, nature. Met with Freddie to talk about what the planning commission could do to help them. And he felt that if we got more automotive jobs back up here, that would be a good thing. But I explained to him, I'm a financial guy, those jobs are gone. They're in Mexico, they're in China.
Yeah.
So I think we, if we can get people like myself that have high-tech jobs where we can work in the place we love to work rather than downstate with all that traffic and all that stuff.
Yes.
That's a plus, and it changes the community, it brings in new people, it brings in fresh ideas. And I think you always need that.
Economic development. Yeah.
Exactly.
And then my other question I have is what's your stance or your belief or your belief in MCLs, FOIA violations, and Open Meeting Act violations? How would you, let me ask you this, how would you handle it if you found one of these board members committed a FOIA violation?
Well, let me give you my personal experience when the new board came in, which was quote-unquote the Tea Party. They came in and they committed FOIA violations, meeting after meeting. I spent $35,000 of my personal money taking them to court. So FOIAs are very necessary.
Yes, sir.
For transparency.
Yes, sir.
You can't have a quorum meeting outside in a restaurant discussing township issues. Everything needs to be transparent, needs to be in front of all the other board members.
And you believe that stands for every board regardless of the size of the community that they represent?
Yes.
Okay, there's no, okay. And the same with Open Meeting Act violations?
Correct.
Okay, okay. How would you handle it if you found, maybe I'm going overboard, I shouldn't ask that. But, it's a real important issue to me and to many members of the community that experienced the violation of those things.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right up front, I saw it happen after Bonnie Valentine passed away.
Okay.
Before that, she held the ground. She stood up to these people. She said, yes, no, maybe, no. You can't. They don't have that structure amongst themselves, as what I see. And that is exactly why I've been talking with the AG. I'm tired of playing with them. So, there, you're on,
No,
I gotcha,
yeah, the
thank
same-
you.
Same experience.
Okay, thank you.
That board, by the way, not my board, was the one that ended up losing $70 million.
Oh, jeez. You know, yeah, it's important. It's not something you wanna play with. I, for the benefit of the community.
Yeah, is everybody here that was here? Okay, well, we'll call the meeting back to order then. On the agenda. Okay, interviews over, that's over. Okay, the next order of business is to appoint a trustee. Effective December 1st, well, that's to be decided, I guess. But does anyone want to make a motion?
Make a motion that we go ahead and accept, with the exception of changing the date to the second, means that's Monday. December 1st is Sunday.
I didn't hear the motion.
To go ahead and make the motion to accept, to appoint the trustee with the exception of December 1st to December 2nd, being the first is,
Oh,
the
okay.
first is Sunday, second
Okay.
would be Monday.
That's the motion. I'll second it then. When we appoint a trustee, you didn't name a person, did you?
No,
No. When we appoint a trustee, they'll be effective December 2nd, if that's what the board wants, because it's a Monday. That's
Can you
Mary.
write in the motion once somebody's, wants to make a motion to appoint someone? Yep.
I make a motion to appoint Marc Edwards after listening to the comments that Marva had just asked him. So I make a motion to appoint Marc Edwards.
Okay, is there support?
I would support that.
A motion and support to appoint Marc Edwards to the remaining term as trustee to the Briley Township Board, effective December 2nd, correct?
Yes.
2019.
Roll call. Whitmire?
Is there any discussion?
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yes.
I guess not.
Supervisor,
Yes.
treasurer,
Yes.
Clerk?
yes.
Okay, motion passed. Congratulations, Mark, and thank you for applying.
Vanessa, thank you again too, girl.
We have
Hang in.
public comment time. Phil Lamore has filled out a form. Phil, do you have that?
Oh, yeah. First of all, I'd like to say that, sorry to see Rick have to have left, that he did. It wasn't all personal, as Mary Jo had stated. A lot of what it said was, but it also said, and she didn't mention, the voice, his voice was shrinking on the board. He felt like he didn't have any way to discuss that with this board, anything. He didn't even get complete board packets, which was interesting. And it became obvious that the treatment of the board toward the trustee, being Rick, was identical to that of Nancy Kaiser. That the trustees that don't agree with the board, especially the clerk, the treasurer, and the supervisor, don't get heard. There's no voice from the people whatsoever. When you come to things like that, I look at what Mark said with regards to the township and support from businesses. Absolutely, that's true. And Hillman's good at writing grants. They certainly are. I haven't seen the township looking to support business at all. Matter of fact, you guys mentioned taking away all the salting of the sidewalks and plowing of the sidewalks. That's not really good support. That's exactly the opposite. Mark mentioned that he's a resident up here since 2015. Mark, could you tell me where your voter registration is now?
It's been in Atlanta since 2015, my license is here,
Okay,
and I'm homesteaded here.
okay. And I looked at the diversity that we're gonna have now between the board.
I'm going to rehab. That's why I'm leaving. You know, shoulder. I just wanted to let you know I wasn't, what would we say, disrespecting you. I'm going to rehab.
Get better.
It's not I appreciate that, Ed. It's not a matter of that. This board is supposed to be intact when they hear from the
Public.
people making comments regarding, and I don't feel that that's correct either. That's a violation of OMA, simple as it might seem, it is. With Mark being on now as a trustee of the township and also being on the planning commission as the head of the planning commission, I don't think he can be the head of the planning commission if he's on the board as a trustee. He can be in the planning commission, but he cannot run it. So you guys, it's the same thing basically as that of a supervisor. Because you're having a board now telling the planning commission what it's gonna do.
Understood.
So I don't think you're gonna be able to do that. You mentioned, Mark, that there were 7 members on the planning commission. You've been running it now for how long?
About a year.
I've only seen 5 people on the planning commission, not 7, so I don't know where you came up with the number.
7 is what I'm used to.
Well, that's not what we have. You've been on it for over a year, so you know that. It should have been 7, and it should have been 7 for quite some time, but it's not. The planning commission has had all their interest in doing ordinances and going over page changes and so on and so forth. At what point are you gonna actually put planning in there for growth and prosperity? I know we have an EDC group. I'm supposed to work with Bruno a little bit and go over some things with him. But I'm looking at the plan of growth and prosperity. You're not gonna get that through repagination of ordinances and writing new ordinances. And most of these ordinances you're writing are premature for what in fact this township has need of. You're going into a lot of definition of people that we don't have and who's gonna get paid for that now. I don't know who the water clerk is or how that's gonna work, but that's a position that's in there and nobody here is designated to that, and somebody's gonna wanna get paid for it. I just got a lot of problems with the way you did this. You can't add in the resignation of Rick if it's not on the special meeting and it's not on the agenda. You can't put anything on there. You can't add to it. Not prior to. You should have done that at the last meeting. You've never placed an ad in the newspaper for public to look and answer a question on would I like to be a trustee. Not placed, never was. You've done it for the last 2 or 3 applicants, but not for this one. I feel like this was rammed down the township or the residents' throats once again. Even though Mark is a very well qualified person, it wasn't done properly by this board. You guys know better because you did it for the last 2 times. You put ads in the newspaper. And this shouldn't have been any different. You don't know how many people are out there that have equal to or maybe better than experience even than Mark that would like to do this. Don't think it's right. Now you've got a vertical thing in our planning commission for two guys from Oakland County, far superior to what we have here in Briley, that may or not bring good ideas to this community, but can this community support what I think would be broad-based ideas that we have special need for, there's no question. We could use more apartments up here, things of that nature, for better individuals when they come in. Like he said, you're gonna have, and she said, Vanessa said as well, you're gonna have younger people coming into the community with a lot more technical knowledge than what we have here, me included. I don't have it. You know, they need places to live. And if you look around the rental community, there's not much of one. So we have to look at a lot of things in this community in order to make it work right. There's a lot of things I just heard here that I was very upset about. And I look at a DDA, we still need a DDA. We talked about it and talked about it. You guys are missing grant opportunities left and right. It is not gonna hurt your ability to govern here in this township. It's going to help it. You need to look at the DDA as quickly as possible and get this thing started. I think that's all I've got to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Phil.
One more. While I'm not on the list, I'd like to just make a comment. Thank you, Mark, for applying. I agree with Phil that it wasn't publicized like it should have been for more people to really be aware and know that it's available. The trustee was available. And I'm hoping, with all hope, that this current board is not looking at Marc Edwards as a savior, to save you from your past indiscretions or future indiscretions. He is a very knowledgeable man, and he will call you, I hope with all hope that he will call you to task. But I've also seen what happens to people that call you to task. I've watched this for over 2 years, 3 years, and I see what happens.
Good, thank you, Mark.
I thank you very much, Mark, for being here.
I'd like to disagree with you though, Phil. If all board members are present at a special meeting, things can be added. All available board members.
This is not a regular board meeting, it's in fact
Special.
special. And you cannot add something that should have been in the agenda to start with.
Special.
Should have been in the agenda to start with. The board doesn't even know when the man resigned. Question was asked and nobody could answer it, not one of you. Those kind of things bother me to no end. You come up with all this verbiage that you spew up there at the front, and it's simply that. It's not factual. That's what I understand from MTA, that's what I understand from MTA. Where's the writing? Where's the piece of paper that says the question? And the question answered in writing from MTA, not verbal. Who do you expect to believe that? Everybody, especially people that don't like your board as it is?
Or
You can't.
don't know any better.
Or don't
It's
know any
people
better. They
we don't
accept
know.
it because
We've had to
it's
learn.
in the paper or it's this or that. No,
Plans,
it's gotta
papers,
stop,
and
guys. The more you get into the transparency, the more you're gonna find that other communities out there have everything. It's all on the internet. You can read the question, you can see the answer by the government or by the contractor on a bid. You can see it all.
Oh, right there on the table.
That's transparency. Not do what you want when you want because you're the board. It's not the way it works.
Thank you.
The special was because you're only given so many hours, you must be done, and so
45 days.
people aren't aware that there's a regular meeting.
It's 45 days and
So-
you haven't given,
Okay,
you haven't even taken the time.
done?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and a second to adjourn, 11:47.
I was on Deputy Response again.